Not even 40 days are remaining for the UPSC Prelims 2023 exam. And I'm sure that you guys have been putting sincere and honest effort for the exam. But if your scores are still stuck somewhere around 70 to 80 marks in the mock tests, and guys, this is the time for course correction. In today's video, we'll be learning how those 30 to 40 extra marks would come in the next 40 days or so. We'll learn how PYQs help us to predict 1/3 of the paper. We'll also learn how UPSC recycles questions at 4 levels. So recycling of questions by UPSC at 4 levels. How to boost our score in the final phase before the exam, and how Dominate Prelims 2.0 will help you boost prelims score through PYQ based preparation. So quickly, let's start with the agenda. We'll see a few questions from 2022 and how UPSC recycled those questions from the previous year's questions. So this was a 2019 question asked by UPSC, and there were 3 pairs given. So the highlighted section is Mahseer, bluefin Mahseer, which was essentially a fish. And let's see how UPSC recycled this question at level 1. Level 1 recycling by UPSC. In 2022, UPSC asked this question: which one of the following is not a bird? Certainly the answer was Mahseer, because in 2019 itself, UPSC had asked regarding bluefin Mahseer, and by doing level 1 preparation, we all knew that Mahseer is a fish. It can never be a bird. So our correct answer would be option A, just by doing level 1 preparation. Seeing yet another example, in 2019, UPSC had asked this question. On 21st June, the sun, and the correct answer was, does not set below the horizon at the Arctic Circle. Now again, let's see how UPSC recycled this question at level 1. In 2022, there was a question: in the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in the, and obviously the correct answer was option B, second half of the month of June. Again, a level 1 recycling has been done here. In 2019, this question was on 21st June, the sun does not set below the horizon. And again, in 2022, longest day of the year normally occurs in, again, if it is 21st of June, it would be in the second half of the month of June. So even if we had prepared at basic level 1, a preparation had been done by us, we could have answered this question quite obviously. Moving ahead, again, yet another example of level 1 analysis. In 2017, UPSC had asked this question: Mediterranean Sea is a border of which of the following countries, and various options were given. And the correct answer was Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. Now the logical question that comes to the mind is, which region does it belong to, or that particular region, what is that particular region known as? Now at level 1 recycling, UPSC had asked this question in 2022. The term Levant, often heard in the news, roughly corresponds to which of the following regions? And the obvious answer is region along the eastern Mediterranean shores. Going back to the original question in 2017, the question was Mediterranean Sea is a border of, and the options were Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. This was nothing but Levant. This was indirectly asked. Now UPSC has recycled this very question at level 1 and asked this in 2022, and the correct answer is Levant forms part of the eastern Mediterranean shores. Again, a very good example of how level 1 recycling was done by UPSC, and how we could have been prepared for this question by just preparing at level 1 of preparation. Quickly moving ahead. Now this was a question in 2020. UPSC had asked about this particular inscription, and the question was, this inscription was ascribed to whom, and the correct answer was Ashoka. Now this is an example of level 2 recycling that UPSC has done. How has UPSC recycled this question at level 2? We'll understand this. The context of the question is crystal clear, and the context is Ashokan inscription. Ashokan inscription is the context. Now the logical question that comes to the mind is, what about the other prominent inscriptions, or which Ashokan inscriptions are those prominent inscriptions about which we should be knowing. That's the bare minimum we should be knowing. Now in 2022, UPSC had asked this question regarding match the pairs, and site of Ashokan major rock edicts was asked. So again, a level 2 recycling done by UPSC. After seeing this question, we could have just prepared about the prominent inscriptions of Emperor Ashoka, and we would have been in a much better position to answer this subsequent question in 2022, which was recycled by UPSC at level 2. Level 2 recycling done by UPSC in this particular question. Moving ahead very quickly. Now this was again a 2018 question asked by UPSC. The question was, which of the following has or have shrunk immensely or dried up in the recent past due to human activities? And there were three water bodies given: Aral Sea, Black Sea, Lake Baikal. Now again, this is a very good example of how UPSC has recycled this particular question at level 2. Level 2 recycling being done by UPSC. Why level 2? The context of the question is quite clear, and the context is shrinking water bodies or drying up water bodies. Now, the logical question that comes to the mind is what other or which other water bodies have been drying up, because that is the context given to us by the question. Now, in 2022, UPSC had asked this question: which one of the following lakes of West Africa has become dry and turned into a desert? And the correct answer was Lake Pragubine. Now, again, how UPSC has recycled this question at level 2. Now, if we would have prepared with the other water bodies which have been dried up in the past years, we would have been well prepared to answer this particular question asked in 2022. Moving ahead, UPSC had asked a question in 2020. Now we are moving at level 3 recycling. We will be learning how UPSC recycles questions at level 3, or how level 3 recycling of questions is being done by UPSC, and how we can be well prepared for such questions which are being recycled by UPSC. Now in 2020, UPSC had asked this question: gold tranche or reserve tranche refers to, and the correct answer was credit system granted by IMF. Now at level 3, we go a step ahead and ask ourselves, what could be the other credit tools available with IMF? So we are going a step ahead, we are going a step deeper. What could be the other credit tools available with the IMF? Now in 2022, UPSC had asked rapid financial instrument and rapid credit facility are related to the provisions of lending by which of the following? And the correct answer obviously is International Monetary Fund. Again, a good example of how level 3 recycling of question has been done by UPSC. This was the earlier question in 2020 on gold tranche, and we probed on other credit tools available with IMF, and there was a direct question in 2022 by which UPSC had recycled this particular question at level 3, and the correct answer here was IMF, and the other tools available with it are rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility, among others. Moving ahead very quickly, yet another example of level 3 recycling being done by UPSC. The question was: in which one of the following groups are all the 4 countries members of G20? Now, members of G20. Now, this shows us that G20 is on the radar of the paper setter, and G20 is on the radar of UPSC. So, we'll be probing it a step deeper. The logical question that comes to our mind is: what are the prominent initiatives being taken by this particular organization, G20? Now in 2022, there was this question: with reference to the G20 common framework, consider the following statements, and the statements were: it is an initiative endorsed by G20 together with Paris Club, and it is an initiative to support low-income countries with unsustainable debt. So again, a very good example of level 3 recycling being done by UPSC. This was the earlier question asked in 2020. Which are the 4 members of G20? We probed it further, and we probed for the initiatives being taken the prominent initiatives being taken by G20, and by analyzing this particular question, or by probing this particular question at level 3, we could have easily answered this particular question asked in 2022. Let's move ahead. Again, UPSC had asked a question in 2020, and among the other keywords, among the other conventions given, one was under to coalition. Now, again, a very good example of level 3 recycling of questions being done by UPSC. The logical question that comes to the mind is, what are the initiatives being taken by this particular coalition, under to coalition? Now in 2022, UPSC had asked this question, and it had given a statement, statement 5, where it said the International Energy Agency is the secretariat to the under 2 coalition, which is patently wrong. By doing level 3 analysis, level 3 probe, we are quite sure that statement 5 is patently wrong. Now, the fun part of this question is, if you eliminate statement 5, you directly get the correct answer, because only option B remains, which doesn't have 5. So again, a very good example of how UPSC has recycled a particular question at level 3. UPSC gave this particular keyword under 2 coalition in 2020. So we probed it further. What other initiatives has it taken, and in which other initiatives is this particular body organization involved? And in 2022 we had a question, and statement 5 was a big hint given to us by UPSC, which had under 2 coalition, and if we eliminate statement 5, we get a direct answer. Quickly moving ahead. Now this was asked by UPSC in 2021, and in the second statement, in statement 2, the emphasis was on growing and maintaining urban forests. Growing and maintaining urban forests was the emphasis. Now the logical question that comes to the mind is, what are the different approaches? What are the different approaches that can be taken to grow and maintain urban forests? Now again, let's see how UPSC has recycled this question at level 3. Now in 2022, UPSC had asked this question. The Miyawaki method is well known for the, and the correct answer is creation of mini forests in urban areas. Now, because we had probed this particular question, this particular keywords at level 3, we could have answered this question with great ease. Again to reiterate, the emphasis was on growing and maintaining urban forests, and we probed at level 3 different approaches which can be used to grow and maintain urban forests. And a direct question in 2022 was, Miyawaki method is well known for creation of mini forests in urban areas. Again, a very good example of how UPSC is doing level 3 recycling of questions, and how we can be prepared for such questions which are being recycled by UPSC at various levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Moving ahead very quickly. Now this was a question asked in 2019 by UPSC. The chairman of public sector banks are selected by the, and the correct answer is Banks Board Bureau. Now again, let's see how UPSC has recycled this question at level 3. The logical question comes to our mind is, what are the basic functions? What are the basic functions performed by BBB or Banks Board Bureau? So we are going a step ahead. We are probing it at level 3. And in 2022, there was a direct question on the Banks Board Bureau. The question was, with reference to the Banks Board Bureau, BBB, which of the following statements are correct? And the statements were, the governor of RBI is the chairman of BBB. BBB recommends for the selection of heads for public sector banks, and BBB helps the public sector banks in developing strategies and capital raising plans. So having probed this particular keyword at level 3, we could have been in a very convenient position to answer this particular question, eliminate statement 1 and get to the answer quite directly. Moving ahead. Now this was a question asked by UPSC in 2019, and the emphasis was on laying off workers. Laying off workers. Now let's see how UPSC has recycled this question at level 3. The basic question, the logical thing that comes to the mind is, what are the basic provisions under law through which workers are laid off? Now that's a very basic thing comes to the mind. Now in 2022, there was this question with respect to laying off, and information of layoffs is compiled by which organization, and the answer was Labor Bureau. Labor Bureau, again a beautiful example of how level 3 recycling of question has been done by UPSC. In 2019 this was the question, and the emphasis was on layoff of workers. We probed it at level 3, we went a step ahead, we probed a step deeper, and we probed the basic provisions involved in layoff of workers. And the next question in 2022, which UPSC had asked by recycling it at level 3, was which body, which organization compiles information of layoffs? The correct answer was Labor Bureau. Quickly moving ahead. Now this was again a question asked by UPSC in 2017, and the emphasis was on United Nations General Assembly. Now at level 3, we'll see how UPSC has recycled this question at level 3, or how level 3 recycling has been done by UPSC. Now the emphasis was on United Nations General Assembly. The logical question, the logical thing that comes to the mind is, what are the important functions, what are the important mandates, or what are the important roles played by United Nations General Assembly? The most logical thing that comes to our mind. Now in 2022, UPSC had asked this question with reference to the United Nations General Assembly. Consider the following statements, and the statements were: the UN General Assembly can grant observer status to the non-member states. Intergovernmental organizations can seek observer status in the UN General Assembly, and permanent observers in the UN General Assembly can maintain missions at the UN headquarters. Now, having seen this PYQ from 2017 and having probed it, having analyzed it at level 3, we could have been in a much convenient position to answer this particular question. Quickly moving ahead. Now, yet another example of how UPSC recycled this particular question at level 3. The question was on Wildlife Protection Act, specific provision of Wildlife Protection Act asked in 2020. Now, the logical thing that comes to the mind is, if a question is asked on Schedule 6, or if a question has been asked on a specific provision of Wildlife Protection Act, then it is highly likely that a question might be asked on some other important provision of Wildlife Protection Act. Now in 2022, UPSC had asked this question with reference to Indian laws about wildlife protection. Consider the following statements. Again, a question on Wildlife Protection Act itself, but framed in a different manner. The statement was: wild animals are the sole property of the government. When a wild animal is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in the protected area or outside. Apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger to human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing, which is patently wrong. So what have we seen here? How UPSC has recycled this question at level 3. We saw this question from 2020, and we did level 3 analysis, and we were quite well prepared for this upcoming question in 2022. Let's quickly move ahead. Now we'll be seeing level 4 analysis, or how level 4 recycling of questions is done by UPSC. Now this was a question asked in 2019. The question was, what is Cas9 protein that is often mentioned in the news? And the correct answer was molecular scissors. Now these are molecular scissors. Now it's interesting to note and compare it with other questions asked by UPSC in this league. Now, there was a question on gene silencing, and there was a question on DNA fingerprinting. Now these are indicative names, these are not literal names. Say for example, molecular scissors, this is not a literal scissor. DNA fingerprinting, that's not a literal fingerprint. Gene silencing, again nobody is being silenced in the literal sense. So we'll be probing for indicative names, especially from the domain of biotech, where indicative names are being asked. So in 2022, The question asked by UPSC was DNA barcoding. Again, DNA barcoding, it is not a literal barcode. So latest developments with respect to biotech domain, which contain a symbolic name, indicative name, become more important. Again, this is yet another example of how UPSC recycles questions on level 4, which we also call as the Sherlock level of analysis. Let's see last example at level 4 analysis. Now, there was this question in 2016. The question was Belt and Road Initiative is sometimes mentioned in the news in the context of the affairs of, and the correct answer is China. Now, what is the anchor here? What is the level 4 anchor being used to analyze this question? Is that Belt and Road Initiative have been controversial. It has been controversial. Now, what are the other controversial initiatives of China? Or putting it this way, China has some sort of dispute with which other countries and in which context. Now, in 2022, there was this question, which of the following statement best reflects the issue of Senkaku Islands, sometimes mentioned in the news? And obviously the correct answer was China and Japan engage in maritime disputes over these islands in East China Sea. So we started with this question and we saw how UPSC recycled it at level 4, or how level 4 analysis was done by UPSC in this particular question. Here, BRI, Belt Road Initiative, and the correct answer was China. Now, using the anchor of controversial initiatives of China, we compiled the controversial steps and the disputes of China with other countries, and by that virtue we were in a much comfortable position in answering this particular question asked in 2022 exam. So guys, join Dominate Prelims 2.0. Here you'll be learning to predict prelims with near perfect certainty. You'll be getting access to 20 recorded lectures, and you'll be learning intelligent paper solving skills as part of a workshop where you will learn how you answer such questions correctly, about which you have only partial idea or even no idea at all. And in the predicted prelims workshop, as part of the program, you will be learning the most important concepts, data, facts, information which is most relevant for the upcoming 2023 prelims exam. The joining link of the program is given in the description box below. You'll also be getting access to the Telegram group where you can connect with me through that Telegram group. So guys, this was all in today's video. This is Zeeshan Hashmi signing off.